Are doing well today. Welcome to today's video. So if you guys are watching live with me this morning, please say hello. I would love to say hi back to you. And then if you're gonna watch on the replay later on, just say hi then, and I'll make sure I come back on later and say hi to you at that time. So today we are talking about good food versus bad food. Question mark. So I wanted to chat to you guys. This month I am focusing on rejecting the diet mentality, which has been a part of my own healing journey. And I'm just sharing with you the things that I am learning along my own journey, hoping to inspire you to do that same kind of inner healing work. So before we get started on that this morning, you guys, if you guys are watching this on Facebook this morning, I would encourage you to head on over to YouTube, hit the subscribe button and the bell to receive notifications for each time that I come live, which is Monday to Friday around 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. On my channel, you will find all things to do with my self-love at any size method, which is where I talk about things like mindset, mindful movement, mindful eating, body image practices, mystic and holistic practices, building community. All that awesome stuff is found on there. So I would love for you to be in there. And then if you guys are not in my community already, I have a group called Imperfectly Perfect You, which is where I house lots of different challenges and guidance and support and empowerment and encouragement, all to do with your self-love journey. And how that is going to affect not only your life, but how your kids show up for life, how your spouse shows up, how your relationships are, what your confidence is like. All these things are linked to our own self-love. And so this group is all about that. So if that is something you need more of, then come on over there and join us. We would love to have you in there. So let me just bring up my video here to make sure I can see you guys. I see Jenna on there this morning. Good morning, Jenna. How are you today? Hello. All right. So let's get into it, you guys. So good food versus bad food. So tell me in the comments if you guys have ever felt this way. If you think you've always put foods into categories of good versus bad. I know I've done that. So good food versus bad food mentality can really set us up for unhealthy relationships with eating. So if you've ever kind of done that whole raising your hand, if you've ever described food as good or bad, then even if you've said something like, I've ate horribly this weekend, for many of us, talking about food and eating in this judgmental way has become second nature, right? We do it unconsciously. And that's often because of our experience with diet culture. So that doesn't mean that it's because we have always been told this way and we have always thought this way of like good food versus bad food, then it doesn't mean that that's healthy for us. When we use these kind of moral phrases to describe food, it ends up making us feel guilty and bad about ourselves, which may even escalate to more problems with eating, right? Like I love the description of, do you think that foods hold moral value? So yeah, and it's ridiculous to think that because of course they don't. So we need to be clear. There is no such thing as good food or bad food. And your value as a human being doesn't depend on what you eat. So we have to think of these things of like, you are not a good person because you ate an apple, or a bad one because you snacked on a candy bar. So, those things don't make you a good person or a bad person. Like literally, right? Like that's so silly. So thinking that because you ate an apple, that all of a sudden makes you a good person and you're just the best person ever. It's just so ridiculous that we have learned that through diet culture. So the thing that we have to realize is that, whether you have eaten these foods that you have told yourself that are good and bad, the problem lies in the more that you limit these kind of scary foods, the ones that you think or perceive of as being bad, the longer the list of forbidden foods tends to grow. And what often happens is when you over restrict foods, that then you reach kind of that breaking point, which then kind of opens the doors to like uncontrolled binging and like uncontrolled eating, right? So the problem with this kind of black and white thinking of good versus bad, it may spill into and negatively affect all different areas of our lives too, right? So really what the good news is that we can start to unlearn these thought patterns, and we can start to change the narrative on our relationships with food, and we can even make peace with food, which I know can sound scary for a lot of people. So what I wanted to share with you guys is just some 5 easy ways that you can start to, well, not easy. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. So 5 ways that you can start to really kind of walk away from the ideas of the good food versus bad food mentality. This is all a part of the 10 principles of intuitive eating. So if that is something that interests you, I would love to talk to you more about that. It's definitely been a really big recent kind of discovery of mine, and I love helping people to kind of see that there is a better way and a different way. So the first reason that we can start, the first way we can start to kind of walk away from this type of mentality is to identify our beliefs about those kind of scary foods. So when you eat a cookie or a chocolate bar or chips or carbs, whatever it is eating that thing kind of anxiety provoking? So, when you eat those foods, do you all of a sudden feel that overwhelming anxiety of like, oh my gosh, if I eat this, then that's going to lead to me eating all of it. Or if I eat this, then that means I can't have dinner. Or if I eat this, that means I have to exercise with that workout I don't want to do. And then you start to feel those feelings of anxiety and worry and shame, and that isn't where we want to be living, right? So, someone, I don't know if this is Jenna or not. They're in the other group, so I can't see them. So somebody says, I have totally done that, thinking I can't eat certain things because they aren't healthy. Then saying screw it when I feel like I'm depriving myself and eating them anyway, usually too much of it. Exactly right. That is so true. And those are definitely feelings that resonate with so many people, me included. So when we're talking about this, like identifying our beliefs about fear foods, we need to kind of realize that there's that catastrophic thinking that goes into this with this kind of bad food mindset. And we fear the worst will happen if we eat those foods, right? We fear that, we fear that we could binge. We fear we could, deprive ourselves after that. And those psychological things that you do to your body and your brain really affect so much of our lives that we don't realize. So when we obsess and worry and shame ourselves over what we're eating isn't good or bad or whatever, these things aren't good for our emotional and our mental well-being, and which those things can both play a role in our overall physical health. So I think people need to realize that, something that may seem so small to you of your feelings of having those scary foods that you really have anxiety around, that can be affecting so many different areas of your life. Like it can be affecting your emotional health, your physical health, your mental health. And it can be all stemmed in something as silly as a cookie, and I'm not saying, the cookie is silly, but it's just the fact of like, we give so much power to what diet culture and society have taught us about, you should be scared of this food because this food's if you eat this food, it's gonna make a whole lot of bad happen, which is ridiculous, right? But it's what we've been taught. It's what society has taught us, what diet culture has taught us, and it's time to change the narrative. So another way that we can start to reject the diet mentality and really step away from the good food, bad food mentality is to start to really get in touch with our body. So much of the work I do, which I love how everything is kind of connected in a way that it really is bringing the authority and the power back to our bodies. So many practices and things in our lives these days are really taking the connection away from our bodies. Diets tell us when to eat, how much to eat. Physical programs like fitness programs tell you when to exercise, how long to exercise, what to do when you exercise, where really we need to come back to our bodies. And so our bodies are so smart, right? You guys, our bodies are wired to survive and our body needs to eat. So with that being said, our body sends us signals to tell us what it requires. So when you ignore these sensations like hunger or fullness, then you end up disrupting that trust with yourself. So you really lose trust within yourself because you're not listening to your body. So how can we start this? We can start this by just paying attention to the cues that your body gives you. And intuitive eating, the ladies that have come up with this anti-diet approach, they really tell, like, what I've been learning in my own journey is they give you this scale, and the scale is on 1 to 10. And it sounds simple, right? But it can be difficult if you've lost that connection with your body. It can be really difficult to start to pay attention to those body cues. So really just starting to think about, as you're eating, like maybe taking one snack a day or one meal a day, and really just, eliminating all distractions and really taking time to rate your hunger and fullness on, like, how hungry am I or how full am I? I'm going to rate myself on a 1 to 10 scale, and then I'm going to figure out how my body feels, like during eating, before eating, after eating, all that kind of stuff. So it really, that's another really great way to start to just really get rid of that good food versus bad food mentality. And then another way that we can do this is understand where our desire for food originates. So this is really connecting to our emotions and our feelings. Once again, connecting to our bodies, right? So we can eat sometimes for like a lot of variety of reasons, right? When we're connecting food to our emotions, we can eat when we're sad, when we're tired, when we're bored, when we're socializing, and it can have nothing to do with our stomach's signals. So once we tune into, once again, like my previous point of tuning into those hunger feelings and fullness feelings, we'll be able to better distinguish those physiological needs, that other reasons that we have for feeling like eating. So asking ourselves, what do I need right now? And when we do that, maybe it is that you're feeling lonely. And especially during the pandemic, there's been times of isolation that people often feel lonely. And, we are wired for touch and connection. People, like, it's a biological need that we have as humans, right? And when we don't have that, we can be in this place of wanting, and then you can fill that need with food, right? And that's kind of that self-soothing thing when we don't have that physical connection around us, that's something we're longing for, right? So if you find that you're ever kind of longing for food or looking for food when you're lonely, you might try connecting with your skin receptors, like through like stretching your body or applying lotion, and just seeing if that changes the way that you're feeling, right? And then really we have to also realize that if you end up, wanting a snack because you're feeling lonesome or blue or sad, then that's okay too, right? Really the biggest trap that people fall into is starting to judge and shame themselves because they ate when they're not hungry. And beating yourself up is really counterproductive, right? Like, it's not helpful. So really just focusing on the fact that we are connected enough to our body's cues to know the difference. So if you're aware that, yes, I am lonely, but I still want to have that snack, that is really okay. And this whole process of intuitive eating is really about learning and discovering that there's no pass or fail here, right? Like, and that it's the embracing and the connection to the body and and I love that it's imperfect. And that's so much of the work that I do is trying to help people see that it's okay to be imperfect. So moving into our next little tip for you guys is scrapping the scarcity mentality. So the scarcity mentality, we can relate this to, for example, like the toilet paper shortage that occurred during the first few months of the pandemic. The shelves emptied and people were so focused on what they couldn't have, and they became obsessed with hoarding toilet paper. It's insane, right? So we can see the same thing when it comes to intuitive eating. If you have a food that you kind of have, if you have a food that you've kind of taken yourself away from, then really you're going to increase that want for that food. You're going to just be hyper focused on that food, right? And that's just really it's that scarcity mindset with food that's, it's just really, taking all power away from actually, wanting that food and giving yourself permission to have it instead of being like, oh no, I can't have this food, so I'm going to really want it so bad. So that's what happens when we start to eliminate certain foods from our diet. We need to recognize that all foods can have a place at our table. And when you do this, you kind of root yourself in a place of abundance rather than scarcity. So when you give yourself permission to eat those foods, it takes away the urgency of wanting to have it, right? So that's really something that we can start to work on, as we're doing this work of inner healing and making peace with food. And so when we start to go in, my last little tip for you guys is really important, actually. And it's really learning that prioritizing those non-weight-based health goals. So weight loss may be a common gauge that we have learned in regards to our health, but this approach may not be the best way to achieve that health that we are looking for, right? So the best way to achieve a healthy lifestyle is, when we're talking about when we're talking about taking away food or dieting, dieting actually predicts more weight gain. And what's worse is that dieting is also linked to negative body image and increased risk of eating disorders. So when you're concentrating on dieting and the number on your scale and the size of your pants, that can be more harmful than helpful. So those that really want to pursue health, we need to really start to shift our mindset from weight loss to other kind of non-scale goals. I always like to set health goals for myself rather than weight loss goals. I no longer set weight loss goals for myself. So we need to kind of focus on those non-weight-based health goals, such as getting enough sleep, having enough downtime, engaging in self-care, moving our bodies, and just really feeling good and connecting to our bodies in a way that, really takes care of all those areas of our lives. So when you prioritize your life in this way of really taking care of yourself and making those goals around things that are going to nourish your body and take care of your body and really make you a healthier person, we are then starting to be able to ditch the diet culture, which will really help to improve our overall health in that physical, mental, and emotional and sustainable way. So those are just some 5 kind of more in-depth tips. I know this stuff is so interesting to me, and it's we could talk about it so much. There's so many interesting parts to intuitive eating that it resonates with me so much because it's definitely the approach that I needed, and it just takes away so much pressure that you put on yourselves to think that you have to lose the weight in order to be happy, that you have to starve yourself, that you have to be scared of food, all these things that I am starting to unlearn. And it's made me happier than ever. And it's made me, connect to my body and nourish my body and things in a way that doesn't feel nasty. It doesn't feel horrible. It feels quite liberating. So I hope that these little tips were helpful for you guys. This month, I've really been trying to focus on rejecting the diet mentality. So I'm going to be talking about this a little bit more in the rest of the month. And each Wednesday, I've been trying to come on and just really talk about different aspects of intuitive eating and how it can help you to really make peace with food, which is a really big, important part of our self-love journeys, I feel. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions or if you want more information. Someone says, great information. Thank you. You're welcome. So a couple things before I pop out, you guys. If you want to learn more about intuitive eating, I do have a couple different ways. I wonder if I have the link here. I don't know if I do. I don't know if I do. I have so many links on the side here. Oh, maybe I do. Yeah. I have a program, a 28-day program that's yoga and mindful eating. This takes you through 10-minute yoga practices for 28 days and has really great workbooks. You get 4 workbooks that allow you to start to dive into this whole kind of method. So that program is super affordable. It's like $33. So you can follow the link in the description of the video and head to my website, and you could grab that if you wanted to. Now I need to get rid of that. And if not, there's another way you can work. Whoa, not that one, this one. I have my program called the Self-Love Revolution with Martina, which is a live group coaching program that takes you through an online self-paced program along with weekly group coaching with myself. And really, it just helps you to start to take care of yourself, start to accept and respect who you see in the mirror. We do a lot of work to do with mindful eating within this program, along with a lot of other things. We do chakra work, we do body image work, we do yoga, meditations, self-care practices, so many things in there just to really help you to start to take those brave leaps towards that self-love journey that we all need to go on in order to show up as our best selves. And so this program is 40% off right now. You should jump on this program before too long. The price will be going up shortly. So if you guys want to take advantage of a really crazy reduced price, this course has such value to it, and you have me as your coach for life. You get quarterly chakra healing assessments from me. There's just so much in there, like I can't even begin to explain. So we would love to have you in there. There are payment plans within this program for as little as $27 a month for 12 payments, which is insane. And it's pretty much the price of a Netflix subscription, but you are gaining so much personal development and inner healing. And I would love to stand beside you in that journey. So the link to that is in the description of the video as well. And that is all I had for you guys this morning. So I hope you have the best day. I went over on time a little bit. I just get so chatty when it comes to this topic. I really do love talking to you guys about this. So I hope you guys have the best day, and we will see you tomorrow.